Hey guys, welcome to the stream. Hopefully we don't have any issues today and everyone can hear me alright. You alright, Phil? Yeah, Bathurst always creates good racing for multiple of reasons. Sometimes because of the carnage. But I'm sure these guys should be good enough to cope with that. JP is going to come into the pit, so we'll move on to Gecko to see another JP livery there. Yeah, probably mostly the carnage, yeah. You do see some good overtakes here though, to be fair. Because, to be fair, they have to be a good overtake to get it done. But obviously anywhere over the mountain anyone could go for a little trip into the wall. So I'm Mullet leading the way at the moment. Who we saw in qualifying last week was very fast, but maybe got the strategy a bit all over the place. So maybe going to challenge Gecko and Distinct Dark Grey and Kevlaro, probably all up there challenging for pole position this week. Well, we'll do our best, Phil, to catch any of the incidents that happen on the mountain on stream. But obviously this series is 2 30-minute races. So 2 sort of more sprint type races, but presume everyone will pit stop here. I don't think it's the longest pit stop timer, but we'll see. In the last couple of races, we've seen people going for the no stops, which they weren't at the start of the season. So, wonder if anyone will try that again this week. I know Kevlaro at Spa managed to no stop on the medium tyres because he's in the Porsche, I believe, which is very good on tyres. So we'll see whether he tries something like that again, maybe. Or as Mullet dies, getting that practice out the way. See Darkrai obviously having set the fastest lap now. Oh, but no, he's held on to that. I thought we were going to see another death there. Yeah, but he did mess up his lap, hence coming into the pits. Clearly just practicing fast laps there. So qualifying will be at, in 4 or 5 minutes at 7 o'clock. You see JP's lovely livery there. Always nice looking at a JP livery. Nice and smooth there by JP. Looks like maybe JP's still struggling from brake pedal issues. Hopefully that doesn't cause any problems in the race. Seemed fine round there though. See inside the Porsche now then. Inside the McLaren now. I said qualifying should be ready to get underway any minute now. I'm sure we'll see Gecko confirming whether everybody's ready soon. And then we'll be getting underway with the qualifying session. Been 10 minutes of qualifying, I believe, so longer track this for outlaps and stuff, so they might not get as many laps in as what they normally do. So it might be a lot more about making sure you get a clean lap in early here, so you've got a banker there. Looks like maybe the lobbies are being put together here due to people not turning up. Yes, it looks like a few are joining in from the other lobby, so which is a shame the lobbies aren't filling at the moment, but at least this fills up the grid a bit more, gives us some more cars on track, which is what we want. Looks like everyone now might just be waiting for qualifying to get underway. Ace Killer did well to hold on to that then by the looks of it. I thought he was going to go straight on into the wall there. I think Gecko's just waiting to see if there's any more from that other lobby that still need to join. And then once that's been confirmed, I'm sure we'll be getting underway. Possibly looks like we might have to wait on one more. Said hopefully they'll be jumping in any minute and we can get underway with qualifying here. It looks like Gecko's getting ready to start the qualifying. And here we go, getting ready to get going with qualifying here now then. Said 10 minutes, I believe, so obviously it's going to be a bit... There's Gecko, there he is. So we'll go on board with Gecko to start with, as he's going to obviously be the first one to set a lap. But round here, being a bit of a longer lap, it's going to be important to get a lap in early on, so that you've got a banker in place. Looking at some of that practice, this could be a close qualifying. Don't know who was sandbagging though and who was actually going for it. I'm presuming this race, the strategy will be medium soft or soft medium. Might be some go for the no stop on the hards, but I'm guessing that you'll probably lose too much time across the mountain and be too risky on the hards. But we'll see what people decide to do afterwards. But obviously first we've got to set the grid for the first race. As Gecko's just coming around the Conrod straight to the chase to get ready to start the first lap. So we'll go on the onboard view to see how this lap's done. Gecko can show us what to do in the Ford GT here. So he's just going to come around Murray's corner, ready to start the lap. And here we go now then. Gecko to set us off and show us how a lap's done, and to set the banker for everybody else to chase. Get on a power nice and early out of turn one, make the most of it down the mountain straight. And then getting ready to climb onto the mountain now then. Keeping it nice and tight, getting on the power as early as possible. And now where it's easy to lose the car through the cut in here. Get it turned in. Get on the power, looks like he had to delay, a bit wide there. And now coming up onto the mountain proper, onto the top now. Keeping it flat on the soft tyres all the way through here, I believe. Slight little lift there. And then here'd be a lift. Turn in. Ooh, had to delay getting on the power there. A little bit wide. And then here's where it's easy to lose the cars. You see Gecko fighting it through the S's. And then not too bad through the dipper though. And now you need a good run out of Forest Elbow here. Keep it nice and tight to the wall, get on the power as soon as possible. So you get a nice run down the Conrod straight, because it's a nice long straight to the chase now then. So in the race, that's probably the most important corner to get right. If you want to get a pass done, or you want to defend being passed by someone behind. Now coming into the chase, we see someone's took the 50-meter board out there. Runs a little bit deep by the looks of it, but not too bad. So it's a good banker from Gecko this, but I definitely think he's got more in the tank. But we have been noticing, it seems to be at most track's second lap on the tyres seems to be the best, as Gecko sets the banker for everyone to follow. What about Darker Ray behind, goes up onto pole? What about Kevlaro now then? What can he do? So Kevlaro staying third, Ace Killer staying fourth. Where's Mullet going to put himself up to third place there? Kagawa with Philo very close behind him there. And then Swoodson, where's he going to be able to put that AMG? Stays in 9th place. And what about JP now then? As Mullet came in for fresh tyres by the looks of it. As I said, looking at the other races so far, the second lap seems to be where people do their fastest laps. As JP puts himself up to 9th now then. And it looks like we've just got Mart there to finish a lap. Looks like Green Def is maybe on an out lap or come out later. Poor final corner there for Mart, so it's not enough to move him off 11th place. Yeah, Green Def on an out lap now. So we've got Dark Ray now 8 tenths up on Gecko. I said there'll be more time in Gecko's lap, but let's see if Dark Ray can improve on this lap now as well. Because as I said, what we've seen so far, more often than not, it appears to be the second lap on the tyres is actually the fastest lap. But this is a longer track, so there's a chance that maybe the warm-up of the tyres has happened better. But look, see, Dark Ray is over half a second up now then. So that coming into play, the tyres clearly warm up better for the second lap than what they are on the first one. But we'll see whether Gecko can improve first. No, Gecko must have messed up his lap because he's back out on an out lap. So what's Dark Ray going to do to set the target here? It's going to be a 58.2. So currently 1.4 seconds ahead of everybody else. As we see Mullet now coming out the pits as well. But maybe having an issue with his brake, or was he just trying to stay out of people's way? I'm not quite sure. As Kevlaro put himself up into second place there now then. So is Kevlaro going to come in for fresh tyres? He is. Mullet we saw came in and so did Gecko, but not improving on their laps, didn't complete the last laps. As we see Swanson improving to go up to 9th now then. What about JP coming to the end of his lap? As we see Darkrai in the pits, is that him done? Because that is a very good lap. What can JP do now? He does improve, but only he stays 10th for now. Green Def and Philo battling away, which is not good on qualifying. Philo on an out lap. Green Def on a fast lap here. Looks like most are on out laps other than JP and Green Def now then. So can Green Def move himself off the bottom? He's yet to set a lap time. No, unfortunately struggled a lot at Laguna Seca last week. So hopefully he can have a better showing this week. Or as he just runs wide there. But now just needs to make sure he gets a nice exit out of Forest Elbow for the run down the straight. And it does look like Darkrai knows he's set a decent lap and it ain't worth him coming out to do another one. So it looks like distinct Darkrai is going to stay in the pit. So he's set the benchmark of a 58.2. Philo, knowing Green Def's on a fast lap, just going to bump him along, help him out a little bit by the looks of it. But he's not going to want to be too close when starting his lap, so I wouldn't be surprised if Philo backs off a bit here to get himself a gap. But he doesn't, but he is going to pass Green Def now as he makes a mistake coming through the chase. So can Green Def get himself off the back of the grid here? With his first flying lap he's managed to put in, he does. He puts himself up to 11th place there now then. As Mark's just started his, what will be final lap. This will be everybody's final lap now by the looks of it. We've still got JP to cross the line. Oh no, JP has now crossed the line, so we missed that. So JP didn't improve then by the looks of it that time round. So we've currently got Kevlaro in second place, but 9 tenths off the lead. And then 5 tenths back to Gecko there as well. And another 1.5 to Mullet. These three will want to get much closer as Gecko does go up into second place there. Will he have time to complete one final lap? I'm not sure whether the timer will run out before he gets to the end of it here. So Kevlaro got 4 tenths to find if he wants to get up into second place. Or 9 tenths to find to take pole. But I can't see anyone getting that pole position off Dark Array with that time. So let's see what Kevlar. Oh, he's 2 tenths down on his time. So he's going to have a good chase here and a good final corner to improve, as this will be his final lap. But he doesn't have to worry from behind, as Mullet had to abandon his lap. So Mullet had an issue on his final lap. So it's only whether he can get up ahead of Gecko now, or anyone else further back can maybe improve. As Mart does improve there. So see where that put Mart up to 6th place. Kevlaro doesn't manage to improve now then. Mart finished, Kaga finished, Philo finished, Umbar. JP on his final lap. What's JP got? Can he improve? No, not quite. Green Death has finished. Looks like it might only be Gecko left on a flying lap. It is, it's only Gecko left on a flying lap. Let's see if Gecko can improve on this final lap now then, or whether he even makes it to the end of the lap. Oh no, he's well down on time if that time is correct. Yeah, he's well off, so must have made a mistake on that lap maybe. So Distinct Dark Grey having a nice easy pole there. 5 tenths back to Gecko. And then another 4 to Kevlaro. And then another 6.5 tenths to Mullet. So not the showing Mullet would have wanted in qualifying there, but still a P4. As I said, interesting to see what strategies people choose in this one. So recently we've had issues with the qualifying always ending before people have finished final laps, and now we've got back to having to wait for the timer to run down even though everybody's finished a lap. Looks like Green Death maybe got in the way of Kaga's final lap there. Possibly. So we'll just quickly go through the order before the race starts. So we've got Distinct Dark Grey on pole, followed by Gecko, Kevlaro 3rd, Mullet 4th, Ace Killer 5th, Martin 6th, Kaga 7th, Philo 8th, Umbar in 9th, Swoodson in 10th, JP 11th, and Green Death in 12th. So hopefully we should be in for a good race here. I do think looking at the time differences and what was going on in practice, possibly Darkrai might pull away from these guys behind, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a big battle on between Gecko, Kevlaro and Mullet, but we'll see whether they choose different strategies or not, or whether they're all going to go for the same strategy. Said most likely is medium soft or soft medium. Kevlaro with the tyre wear we've seen on that Porsche in the past should be able to do soft, but might try and no stop on mediums. Mullet last week was going for the no stop on hards, but it wasn't really working out. I do think it could have worked out, but he was making mistakes on the hard tyres. So we'll see if he tries that maybe again this week. But the McLaren has looked fairly bad on tyre wear in some of the races so far. So they might have to go for a medium. But I think the most likely thing to see is Darkrai, Gecko and Mullet all starting on mediums and Kevlaro starting on the softs. Because I do think Kevlaro's tyre wear advantage in the Porsche should allow him to do 2 sets of softs. Whereas I do think the other guys are probably going to have to run a set of mediums no matter what. I'm not 100% what the tyre wear is like on that Lexus, so maybe on the Lexus he might be able to run softs as well. But no, he is starting on mediums by the looks of it, but we'll watch the race start first as we see it coming up to 5 red lights now. And off they go. Looks like everybody gets a good start. Looks like Philo got a really good start there. And Mark getting up the inside. So it looks like Philo and Mark getting very good starts then. Mark getting past Kevlaro. Kevlaro is starting on the mediums. Philo getting by him as well, and Mark getting past Mullet, but Mullet has got the inside line. Oh no, that's against Philo getting the run on him as well. But Mullet is on the softer tyres as we see a couple of cars run wide there by the looks of it in Quarry Bend, but I couldn't see who it was. Too wide through the cutting is always a risk. And Mark and Kevlaro losing a lot of positions off the start. And Gecko getting the jump. Gecko getting the lead off the start, but Gecko on those soft tyres. Distinct dark grey on the mediums. Mart on the soft tyres getting a superb start up into 3rd place. And Philo on the softs getting a superb start as well. And so did Kaga on the softs. So those 3 getting great starts, moving up positions there. Mullet and Kevlaro suffering off the start, but Mullet is on softs as well. Kevlaro on the mediums though. So I wonder if Kevlaro is going to go for the no stop here, because that tyre wear is good. I would have thought if he was stopping he'd do 2 sets of softs rather than running the mediums. Then we've got Swoodson on the softs. Green Death up into 9th place on the softs. JP on the softs, and it must have been maybe Ace Killer and Umbar both on softs that we saw running wide at Quarry Corner. As Gecko's going to try and use those soft tyres to try and break the slipstream to Darkrai as quick as he can. Because the quicker he can break the slipstream, the better, because he doesn't want Darkrai sticking with him on those medium tyres. And it does look like he has now broke that slipstream. So Gecko needs to get his head down, because might have tyre wear issues later on, or might have to run a stint on mediums, but might be able to do the softs. Gecko is a very smooth driver, so he can make the tyres last a little bit longer than some others can. But it could also just be that maybe that Lexus is poor on tyre wear. As we see Mark coming under pressure from Philo now then for 3rd position. So these 2 with a very good start, now battling for 3rd position at the moment. But won't want to battle too much with Kevlaro closing up and drop back. But whereas Mullet gone, Mullet's made a mistake and dropped right back again. So Mullet's having a not as good a qualifying this week as last week, but then suffering off the start of the race, similar to what he did last week. So not what he'll be wanting. As we see Philo still putting the pressure on Mart here, but they're going to be wary of Kevlaro catching them up, as Kevlaro got jumped a bit at the start, but will obviously be looking to get back ahead of these guys up onto a podium position. It looks like Mart maybe touched the wall coming out with Forest Elbow there onto the straight, which is not what you want to do. But Philo not really closing up too much, so should be alright for now. Gecko has got that second gap to Darkrai now then, but Darkrai is on those harder tyres. But Gecko maybe with a mistake, or Darkrai with a really good end to that lap there, pulls right back into slipstream range. As Mart and Philo still getting really close, and Kevlaro getting closer to these two. So this is going to be a three-way fight for podium position soon. We just moved down. Kaga trying to hang on to these guys, and Swoodson trying to catch up. Then we've got a bit of a gap back to Ace Killer in 8th, and a bit of a gap back to JP now, who's coming under pressure from Mullet. But Mullet has got Green Death right behind. And Umbar is catching up to these guys now as well after a poor start to the race. So Gecko pulling away again. So Gecko's softer tyres definitely helping on the run up the mountain. But Darkrai got some good pace keeping up with him, as Mart and Philo are dropping back. But as we can see now, Kevlaro all over the back of these two now as well. So Kevlaro will be looking to move back past these guys after a poor run off the line and losing out. But Philo obviously will be wanting to get past Mart as well and take that third position for himself. So Kevlaro going a bit wider into the corner, looking for that good exit by the looks of it. And it looks like he might have got it. Yeah, it looks like Kevlaro should have Philo done here. The only thing is, if Philo's got slipstream to Mart, that might mean that Kevlaro struggles to actually get by. And Philo did sort of hang in the middle of the trap there. Kevlaro had to lift off, didn't quite know where to go. So he's going to have to wait one more time. But if he can get exits out with Forest Elbow like that, I wouldn't expect it to be long before Kevlaro manages to get a move done on Philo and get after Mart. But Philo hanging in Mart's slipstream is definitely helping him defend against Kevlaro here. As Kago is starting to drop off of these guys a little bit, and Swoodson as well. Ace Killer trying to close up, and Mullet now up into 9th past JP, so will want to get his foot down and chase after those front guys, but it's quite a way back now after an incident early on. So moving back up 1.4 second lead Gecko has now over Distinct Darkrai. But maybe Darkrai going to look to go to the end on those tyres. The tyre wear doesn't seem that bad, but will be interesting to see. So Mart now pulling away from Philo, as Philo's coming under severe pressure from Kevlaro. Looks like both of them did a bit more than just tapping the wall there, coming up up that side of the mountain. So Philo managed to close back up to Mart now, and Kevlaro dropped back. Well, coming through the S's and through the Dipper, we're most likely to see most mistakes through the Dipper, especially in these MR cars, as it can really lose. But let's see if Kevlaro can get a good exit again, and it looks like he does. Yeah, it looks like he gets a good exit again, so what can he do this time against Philo? But again, Philo has the slipstream of Mart again, which is obviously going to help him to defend. But Kevlaro does pull out this time, but he's going to be on the outside, and look, the slipstream from Mart allowing Philo to pull back ahead of Kevlaro again there now then. Oh, but Mark goes deep, and Kevlara with a fantastic move there. Unbelievable driving from Kevlara there to get past both guys there. As Mark went a little bit wide, got on the grass, and as he was saving it, Philo had to back off, and Kevlara took advantage and got by both of them. But Philo now going for the move on Mark, coming down into turn one. So Mark having a bit of a mess up through the last two corners there, feeling the pressure, but gets a good exit out of the first corner. So might get the run on Philo again now. But let's see if it's a good enough run. Philo will probably defend the inside. But look how much Kevlaro's managed to pull away already, over 2 seconds ahead of these two now. And Mark does pull to the inside, but he has to back out of that. Not enough room to go for the move there. So Kevlaro now can set about trying to close the gap towards these front two and see what he can do. As we see distinct Darkrai has got back into Gecko's slipstream now then. So he's right up alongside Gecko now. So let's see whether Darkrai can go for any sort of a move here. And Gecko makes a bit of a mistake through the dipper, and it gives way to Darkrai there. Didn't want to fight it side by side there, Gecko. But Darkrai has a poor exit out of Forest Elbow. So is this Gecko's chance to get that position straight back? Let's see what he can do now then. As Gecko has got the slipstream now, so he is going to get the run. But is it going to be a good enough run? Darkrai going to defend the left. But Gecko's already passed him before the braking zone. So Gecko gets that position back. But obviously Gecko's tyres now starting to wear. So he's still got 5 minutes to go on this stint to get those tyres to halfway. So he's going to have to do at least another 2 laps, I imagine, before pitting now then. But Darkrai putting pressure on. This could possibly be good news for Kevlaro if he can put in some decent laps. But if Kevlaro's looking to go to the end of this race on those tyres, then maybe he'll just look at making sure he keeps those tyres fresh enough to get them to the end. So Philo has managed to break the slipstream to Mark now then, so their little battle for now has dropped off. But both of them may be using up tyres, because again, all these guys on the softs will want to get to 15 minutes into this race before pitting, because that'll mean that they can put softs on again and they won't have to run the medium tyre. Whereas Kaga now's tyres are absolutely dead. That Mazda is abysmal on tyres, as we've seen in other races. So Kaga definitely going to have to put at least the mediums on, and probably going to have to come in at the end of this lap. Swoodson as well, tyres not great, which we've seen Ace Killers in the AMG struggle on tyres as well in a few of these races. As Mullet's tyres are holding on alright in that McLaren, and Ace Killer's tyres are doing pretty decent as well compared to sometimes. So it does look like most of these guys will get halfway before having to pit, as we see Darkrai now with the opposite on Gecko. He's now got the run on Gecko. But looking at the tyre wear, I think Darkrai might be going for the no stop along with Kevlaro here. And if that's the case, then this race is Darkrai's without a mistake. But if they do both pit, then Gecko can maybe try and hold him off. As the big advantage that Ford GT has, it is a bit of a monster down the straights. So it's not an easy car to get past, even if you've got slipstream to help you out. So Kevlaro now in, as I said, a little bit of free air. Matching similar to the front guys. Not, yeah, 201.1s, 201.3s, 201.1 for Kevlaro. So he is lapping at the same pace as those guys in front now that he's got clear air. So he'll be want to keep that up, because I think he'll be taking these tyres all the way to the end of the race. Philo now then gonna have to come into the pits very soon. We've seen Philo a few times go an extra lap on the soft tyres when they've worn out, and it's not always paid off for him. So we'll see whether he does that in this race or not. As Mark's dropping back now, so the rest of the field, we've got a bit of a spread out field, except for Gecko and Darkrai here. Everybody else has got fairly comfortable gaps between them unless there's any mistakes. So we'll stay on board with Darkrai now as he's battling Gecko, as they both look like they took a bit of a bump down there coming through the dipper there. As Darkrai going to look to get a good exit out Forest Elbow to get the run on Gecko here. And he does get a good exit, but so does Gecko. Now, what can that Lexus do to match that power of that Ford GT? Yeah, he's not closing up much at all. That Ford GT is just a monster down the straights. Yeah, from 3 temps back, Gecko cruised past Darkrai. Darkrai 3 temps back there, and was still 3 temps back by the end of the straight. Probably gained half a temp at most, even with slipstream, as Gecko does come into the pits this lap. So Gecko into the pits. This makes me think, looking at Darkrai's tyre wear, Darkrai's going to the end of this race, same as Kevlaro. So I think now the race is on for second place between Kevlaro and Gecko. So we'll need to see where Gecko comes out, as we see Philo and Mark come into the pits on this lap as well now then. Kevlaro just runs a little bit wide. Swoodson follows them in as well, so does Ace Killer. So everybody coming in on this lap that's on the soft tyres. What about JP? Yes, JP's coming into the pits as well. How about Mullet? No, Mullet's been in already. So Mullet's already come into the pits a lap previous. That might be a big mistake for Mullet going for the undercut, but will he have the tyre wear? So Mullet now going for the undercut, so he did need to do something, but where's that managed to get him? Does look like he's gained a couple of places from that undercut, but will his tyres suffer late on in this race? Being interesting to watch out for, as Kagura come in as well and put the medium tyres on. That's what I said. Kaga's tyre wear was terrible, so Kaga's on the medium tyres now. JP getting a pit lane penalty, that's a shame. So Zumba and Green Death into the pits as well. So a 7.8 second lead now for Darkrai, who I think will be taking these tyres all the way to the end of the race, unless he chooses to pit on this lap. If he doesn't pit on this lap, I don't see the need in pitting. Same as Kevlaro, if he doesn't pit on this lap, then I'd be surprised if he doesn't take these all the way to the end. So 10.5 seconds is the gap that Gecko's got to chase down to Kevlaro now then. That's if we are right on strategy, you never know. We have called strategies before and people have surprised us. As Distinct Darkrai does come into the pits. So maybe he was going for the no stop, but he's seen with Gecko having to pit and thought he'll just cut him off. But will this help Kevlaro now then? Because Kevlaro is staying out, so Kevlaro is taking these tyres to the end of this race. So let's see where Gecko comes in comparison to Darkrai now, as Darkrai does put the soft tyres on. But if Gecko can get in front of him, then that will be bad news. So let's see now as they come out the pits. Gecko's got the speed, but is it going to be enough? It doesn't look like it. Looks like Darkrai is going to hold that position. Yes, so Darkrai has done the overcut there on Gecko. And has put the soft tyres on. So now it's Darkrai and Gecko to chase after Kevlaro. So it's an 8.7 second gap. And I can't see Kevlaro coming into the pits now. Now that he's stayed out, I imagine he's going to just try and stay out all the way to the end. Because I think either way he's going to get third place, whether he comes in or whether he stays out, if he gets caught anyway. So he might as well stay out and see if he can hold Darkrai and Gecko off and maybe get the win in this race. Hey Matt Jam, how you doing, mate? Yeah, Gecko's battling Darkrai, but Darkrai pulling away. So I think Darkrai, looking at the pace advantage, should be able to catch and pass Kevlaro. And it's whether Gecko can catch and pass Kevlaro as well, which we have seen this battle spar similarly between Gecko and Kevlaro, where they were both battling away with each other for the win. But they might have Darkrai now taking that off, so it might have to be a battle for second place. Then we got Mark currently sitting in 4th, Swoodson having moved up to 5th now then, and Philo having dropped down to 6th. So Philo was up in 4th position, but has dropped down to, as Kevlaro does come into the pit, so Kevlaro not going to take them tyres all the way, just going to put the softs on and go flat out maybe now then, and maybe take a podium position. But we'll see where Kevlaro ends up coming out, whether he loses any positions with going longer on those tyres. I said I could be wrong with strategy, and we have been, but I definitely thought that maybe Darkrai and Kevlaro would have tried to get to the end of this race, but they haven't. But where's Kevlaro? He's miles up the road, so yeah, Kevlaro just taking the safe bet there, taking the 3rd place, but he might be able to chase after Gecko, but these 3 are all very fast, so I doubt these 3 will have any huge speed advantage on each other to obviously overcome anything. So that's spread the field out quite a bit now then. As I said, we've got Philo down in 6th place, Ace Killer down in 7th, Kaga 8th, possibly closing up to Ace Killer, even though on the harder compounded tyre, due to the tyre wear on that Mazda not being particularly great. Mullet now then, after having done the undercut, has dropped back down to 9th place, so maybe made a mistake there. Yeah, it looks like they made a mistake and dropped back down again, and they did pit early, so they could be suffering on tyres come the end of this race. So maybe JP can look to take advantage of that in 10th place. Umbar down in 11th and Green Death in 12th now then. So we've got a big field spread. So let's go inside Darkrai's car now and do a lap with Darkrai, who I imagine is probably going to go for setting the fastest lap on the next lap if he doesn't do so on this lap. Yeah, JP's in this lobby as well, Matt Jam. Yeah, JP's liveries are great. The livery he's got on his Mustang and the one that is on Gecko's Ford GT are both very, very nice liveries. So Darkrai did set the fastest lap of the race on that lap. And it doesn't look like Gecko or Kevlaro had an answer for that behind. So we'll see whether Darkrai can go any faster than that on this next lap, while he's still got life in those tyres to really push the car. And he is just extending that gap to Gecko at the moment, so pulling away and extending that lead. Oh, but he runs wide there as we're on board with him. Does he save it? Yes, he does. Superb save there. Nearly fully lost that. I thought he was going to be facing the wrong way. That would have been a disaster there for Darkrai, but he does manage to hold on to that one. And to be honest, didn't lose a huge amount of time to Gecko either. So it looks like further back we might have a couple of cars having got closer together. So let's go and investigate now who that might be. It's Philo up onto the back of Swoodson now then. So Philo having quite a few little battles in this race so far. So let's stay on board with these two and see whether Philo can get the move done on Swoodson. Looking to get a good exit out the final corner, which it wasn't the best, but it also looked like Swoodson struggled. But Swoodson is pulling away. And now Philo's starting to gain as the slipstream kicks in. But is it going to be by enough to look for a move into the chase now then? He does pull to the inside, but he's going to have to be late on the brakes. Yeah, and he's not able to. If he wanted to make a move there, he would have had to have been late on the brakes. is all over the back of Swoodson now, and he does look like he's got more pace, as it looks like Ace Killer's starting to close up on these two as well. So Ace Killer will be looking to get involved in this battle if he can do. Philo just drops out of slipstream range. Does he out of turn 1? Not what Philo would have wanted, but can he just edge back into it? Looks like he has. So he needs to stick with Swoodson over the mountain now then and try and get the run out of Forest Elbow again like he went for on the last lap. And he might be able to look for a move coming into the chase. So Philo getting closer as they climb the mountain. So Philo looks like maybe he's got more pace coming up onto the mountain. But we'll see whether Swoodson can answer back coming across the top of the mountain. As he does pull away slightly, but Philo starting to catch again. But all this time, it looks like Ace Killer's getting closer to these two. So we could have a three-way battle coming up for the final position in the top 5 now then. Oh, it was a big slide from Philo there, not going to help. Yeah, and he's lost slipstream. Poor exit from Philo. Will that allow Swoodson to pull away now then? And will it possibly allow Ace Killer to get up into this battle? So let's just see what's going on forward while these guys have a bit of a gap. So Darkrai got 6.3 second lead now then. And Gecko then with 7 seconds back to Kevlaro. So it does look like Kevlaro is gaining on Gecko here. Oh, but big mistake from Kevlaro there into the wall. Let's see where he can recover as Mark's coming through. So Mark coming through turn 1. He's going to come across a car stranded on the side and might be able to get a podium as Kevlaro does get going. But Mark gets by, so Kevlaro going to have some work to do if he wants to get that podium now then. So back to these three battling it out for 5th place now then. As we see a second gap between all of them now, but they were closing up. So we'll see if they bunch back up. NSX will be horror coming down the dip. Yeah, through that S's section and then the dipper and then coming out of Forest Elbow. You've got to be careful in all the MR cars, to be honest. But you need to make sure you get a good run out of the Forest Elbow if you want to look for moves here onto that back straight, which Philo seems to be struggling with. But we'll see if Ace Killer can maybe get up onto the back of Philo and maybe put the pressure on. As unfortunately we see Kaga drop out the race there, maybe having issues. So Philo now is dropping back from Swanson in a huge sideways moment. Coming through the S's there, but manages to save it coming down the dipper. So Philo did very well to hold that there, but again, this is not going to be helping Philo's tyres, and it's not going to help with how close Ace Killer's starting to get to him. But it did look like maybe because of that Ace Killer had to back off a little bit, as though he was wary of Philo crashing. But that has allowed Swoodson to pull away a little bit now. So let's see what Kevlaro can do on Mart here. We'll want to make up for the mistake as Mart runs a bit wide, putting huge pressure on Mart. Is Mark going to battle away to try and keep that podium position now that he's got it? Looks like Kevlaro is going to get that done, so can Mark answer back? Looking at the pace, Kevlaro had a doubt it, but Mark looks like he's going to look for it. He doesn't want to give that podium up easily, and he probably knows if he doesn't get Kevlaro straight back, that Kevlaro will have the pace to pull away from him. But Mark should be in a nice, comfortable 4th place at the moment if he doesn't make a mistake. So if he can hang on to Kevlaro, you never know, Kevlaro might make a mistake again. So they're moving back now. Oh, Philo has gone. Something has happened to Philo. We saw Philo starting to struggle, and he's now 2.5 seconds off Ace Killer. So Philo must have had an incident there. Something must have happened to allow Ace Killer to get through. And Philo into the wall again. Philo really struggling this sliding. He's not going to be helping the tyres. And the tyres are very close to being out of any life now. So Philo really starting to struggle. We'll need to make sure he doesn't make any more mistakes because he's got a 22-second gap behind him and doesn't want to lose any more positions. You see, Mullet has got back up into 8th place and JP up into 9th. Umbar 10th and then Green Death rounding it off. So Distinct Darkrai just pulling away even more, got that lead over 11 seconds now. And Gecko got a nice, comfortable 18 seconds to Kevlaro after Kevlaro's mistake. But Kevlaro was obviously pushing hard to try and close that gap to Gecko. But he's pulled away from Mark very quickly here, which is what we expected. Definitely had a pace advantage, so he does pull away now then. So we've got a little bit of a spread out field. What can Ace Killer do to try and get onto the back of Swoodson? As Philo dropping back even more now then. So Philo really is suffering with those tyres, starting to drop back more and more with every lap. So Ace Killer now 1.5 seconds off Swoodson as we come on to the final lap. We'll see whether Ace Killer can do anything about that. And it looks like everywhere else, everyone's spread out. As we got Darkrai coming over the mountain for the final time here. As we see someone spinning, who was that? Mark got yellow flags up ahead, so who did we see got? Oh, it's Green Death. Unfortunately, she's staying out of everybody's way here by the looks of it, waiting for everybody to get by. I thought that was maybe Kevlaro again going there or something, as we saw the card on the map spinning, as Darkrai coming down the Conwood Straight for the last time. Going to take home a comfortable first place here. So he's going to take home the pole, fastest lap and first place. So here we go now then, Darkrai coming up to the line. Going to take home that win. There we go, followed by Gecko, but we see two cars close together. It is Ace Killer and Swoodson now then. So Ace Killer is in Swoodson's slipstream, but it doesn't look like it's close enough to maybe go for a move, as Gecko's going to cross the line for second place. And looks like Kevlar is going to take third, but we'll stay on with these two as they're close together. Not long left to go now. Couple of corners and that's it, as Ace Killer does close up, but not enough. Both these guys running out of tyre life. So Mark's going to bring it home in 4th place. Coming out the final corner now then. Swoodson does get the run, so Swoodson's going to take home 5th. Ace Killer down in 6th. Philo going to bring it home in a 7th place after struggling at the end of this race. So 7th place for Philo there then. And JP has got up into 8th. Mullet has made a mistake again. We said Mullet might struggle on tyres, having pitted early to get the undercut on some drivers, but that decision has backfired later on in this race. So JP going to bring it home for an 8th place now then. And then Umbar now bringing it home in 9th. And then Mullet, probably with a race to forget again here, going to bring it home in 10th place. And then Green Death rounding off the field in 11th there. Oh, wrong one. We'll just run through the order then for anyone that missed it. So we got Distinct Darkrai taking the win and fastest lap there, followed by Gecko in 2nd place, Kevlaro in 3rd, Mark bringing up at 4th, Srudson taking home a 5th place there, just ahead of the other AMG of Ace Killer in 6th. Philo 7th. JP coming up to 8th. Umbar 9th. Mullet 10th. Green Death 11th. And Kagawa down in 12th, having disconnected from that race. So obviously the second race now then will be a reverse grid race. So we'll see what the likes of Darkrai and Gecko can do coming through from the back of the field, and Kevlaro. See whether there's any change in strategies from these guys at all. I definitely think if they're stopping Darkrai and Kevlaro, could easily do 2 stints on softs. So that might be a change that we possibly see in this one. As obviously Gecko's just going to let everybody have a quick little break while he sets up the reverse grid ready for this second race. As I said, it will be same format, 30 minutes, same tyre wear and everything. So we'll be seeing similar strategies. We might see a slight change in strategies, but they will be similar. So we'll obviously see what happens in this one now then. But there will be a quick break, like I said. Hey, Ray. Hey, Mullet. Yeah, that didn't go too well for you there, did it? I missed I missed all of your wrecks, I think, actually, but I could tell you definitely dropped down every time I went to flick to see how you were getting on. You'd drop down places again, so definitely keep it clean in this one. Big advantage. You've played the reverse grid there to get yourself up near the front of the field for this second race. So hopefully that'll help out. Yeah, any MR cars over the mountain are a bit sketchy. Especially through the cutting and then the S's and the dipper and then exiting Forest Elbow. Very easy to have the car get loose on you. Cavallaro saying he couldn't believe that overtake he did at the chase, which we did see, which was an unbelievable move. So if you did miss that, definitely worth going back and checking out that first race to try and see that. I think it was in the first half of the race. as it looks like Ace Killer and Darkrai have both backed out now. Ace Killer back in, so just waiting for Darkrai to get back in. But we are missing someone else here, so someone else has dropped out somewhere. Looks like Gecko's asking people to back out, possibly restart the lobby. We'll have to see what happens, or whether he's waiting for that person to come back in. It was Clarkson Green Death that dropped out. Then I know Kaga dropped out during the race, so I don't know whether he'll be back. But it looks like Gecko has got the grid set correctly now then. So he should be ready to get underway. Maybe those guys aren't coming back in. Yeah, so Gecko asking if people are ready, so getting ready to start this second race now then. So remember, this is reverse grid from the results in the last race. So Mullet obviously tanking it to get himself near the front here. So we'll see how he gets on in this one. He'll need to keep it cleaner and error free, unlike the last one. But has shown he's definitely got some good pace. And then we'll see how well as JP struggles to get off the line there. Poor start, as Ace Killer has to avoid him, and so does Mark, getting a good start again and getting onto the inside now then. Oh, as we see someone round, it's Darkrai, and he makes contact with JP on the way through. The Darkrai going to have to recover now then on the hard tyres. The Darkrai gone onto the hard tyres for this one. That's an interesting strategy, and JP on the softs, Gecko on softs, Kevlaro switched onto the softs, Mart on softs, Ace Killer softs, Swoots and softs, Mullet softs, Umbar softs, and Philo mediums. So Philo and Mark very good off the start, because Philo and Mark got a very good start last time as well. Hey, hands up. Yeah, that was a bit of a chaotic start, that rate. But Philo gone on to the mediums now then. So not going to try and do the double soft this time. Going to go for the mediums and then probably onto the softs. But we did see Philo get a good start in the last races. We see something else happening up ahead now. It's Ace Killer as Gecko and Mark get through, and so does Kevlaro there. So Mullet now needs to get back after Umbar and Philo. Not really what Mullet would have wanted off the start, starting near the front, I think on second place. So would have been wanting to take the lead into turn one, but instead has dropped down into third place, as the one strength for that NSX is definitely off the line. Yeah, the best way to race at Bathurst is to not be in the race and just be watching it, so you don't have to hit the walls. So Mullet is closing up to Umbar now then, so Mullet will be looking for the move, and he'll be hoping that Swootson can hold up Kevlaro and Gecko here. But let's see how Darkrai is doing to recover. He has got ahead of JP now then, and if these guys are battling away in front, that'll help him out in this one. Moving back forward, Mullet is going for the move on Umbar, but Umbar defending the inside line. Can Mullet swoop round the outside, or will Umbar be able to hold it late on the brakes? No, great move by Mullet there, swooping round the outside of Quaddy Bend there. But now needs to handle the cut-in and chase after Philo, who's managed to pull a little bit of a gap as we hear tyre squeal. So it looks like Umbar had a bit of a slide on the exit there, so that's going to allow Swoodson to catch up. But Swoodson is still holding off Gecko and Kevlaro, who's now dropped behind Gecko. So that's good news for Mullet if these guys can get held up. But Mullet obviously has to get after Philo and get ahead of Philo first as well, though. And has to keep it mistake-free. As we know, these MR cars do struggle coming down the mountain especially, but also going up onto the mountain through the cut-in. So Mullet is definitely gaining on Philo now then, and he does have the tyre advantage. Umbar now causing a bit of a traffic jam. So we'll see whether anyone can get by. It looks like Gecko's going to go for the move. And this is where Gecko will have the big advantage. We've seen that Ford GT is just a rocket ship. So will he be able to get by both Swoodson and Umbar? No, he's going to be stuck on the outside, so he doesn't actually get past either. And Kevlaro manages to get round the outside then. And so does Ace Killer and Mart. So Gecko dropping all the way back to 8th there, going for the move. And Dark Grey right back up on the back of this group. So that's what it shows. You go for the move here, you end up, can put yourself in trouble. As Kevlaro gets up into 4th now then. We've got Ace Killer on the inside, so Ace Killer past Swoodson now as well then. But Mark going to come under pressure from Gecko. So Gecko should have this position on Mark. We've seen the speed of that Ford GT down the straights. Both of them look like they maybe have slipstream. No, Gecko must have been out of slipstream range, but he is going to go for it still, I think. And Gecko's got the inside line, so he should be able to hold it. But Mark's not giving it up easy, but he has to settle back in behind. So Kevlaro has got up into 3rd now. This is what Kevlaro would have wanted. Kevlaro now needs to try and run and chase down these first two and hope that Gecko gets caught up in this pack of traffic. So Kevlaro has broke the slipstream already now, which is what he would have needed to do. So Kevlaro looking to put decent laps in to pull a gap on the likes of Gecko, while Gecko's maybe stuck in this traffic. As we see yellow flags, who is it? It's Mullet, no! Mullet's gone again. And he's stuck in the middle of the track. He's dropped all the way back to the back of the field here. And JP's going to get by as well, is he? No, not quite. So it's all gone wrong again for Mullet. So that gets Kevlaro up into 2nd place to chase after Philo now then. But Philo using those medium tyres, he has got a 5-second gap. So in this reverse grid, things are looking good for Philo at the moment. He can go 1 lap extra on those medium tyres to what he did on the softs last time round. And that'll mean he won't have to worry about his tyres, as he really dropped off at the end of the race last time round. So Kevlaro pulled out a 2-second gap to Ace Killer, who's got by Umbar now then. But Umbar trying to stick with him. And Swoodson's still there, so Gecko's still with 3 cars to get by if he wants to chase after Kevlaro and Philo here. But as we said, that Ford GT is good down the straights, so he should make light work of them. But if they can keep slipstream, that might make it harder for Gecko, which looks like what's happening at the moment. We've got a bit of a slipstream train going on that even the Ford GT is struggling to overcome. And Mart looking to take advantage if Gecko maybe goes for the move. And Dark Grey obviously on the harder tyres behind these. So Dark Grey might just be taking these tyres all the way to the end of the race. But he has got damage now then. That clip on the wall was harder than it looked, and he's got front left damage. So Kevlaro now is bringing that gap to Philo down to 4 seconds now. And he is opening that gap up to Ace Killer, who is slightly pulling away from Umbar. So Umbar is the leader of this traffic jam as it stands. But the GTR, I'm presuming, is a very good car down the straights as well, I would have thought. So Umbar might be a difficult car to get by. So it looks like Gecko Gecko's cruised by Swoodson. That's what I said there, and he's got onto the inside of Umbar, so can he go for it? No. Umbar sweeps across the inside, and Gecko goes wide and off the track. Rejoins, loses position to Martin. There's a huge accident there. Gecko caught up, Darkrai caught up, Mark caught up, Swoodson caught up. Huge accident there as Umbar gets through. Not quite sure what happened there. It looked like Gecko went off. Maybe Umbar went off as well. And it looked like as Gecko rejoined, he ended up in the back of someone, and there was a bit of a slow up of cars, and everybody ended up in the same space. But that's got Mullet all the way back up to 5th place after his earlier mistake now then. Yeah, that was a huge accident, that was. Not quite sure. JP up into 7th, so huge beneficiary JP from that one. But JP now going to have the likes of Darkrai, Mark, Gecko behind him. So Gecko now having to come all the way from the back of the field. Darkrai probably going to take the hards all the way to the end of the race. So Darkrai maybe still in this fight, but that could definitely put Gecko out of the win contention and maybe out of the podium contention as well. Yeah, that's probably a good way to describe it, Hansa. Like I said, without looking at the replay, that'll be impossible to tell exactly what happened and what caused it. So Philo now then only 2 seconds in the lead. So Kevlaro is really pulling this gap out on Philo. So Philo, looking at this pace difference, might have to settle with letting Kevlaro by so that he holds that 2nd place. But we'll see. Maybe he'll battle for 1st. I just think the worry for Philo is with this pace difference, if he battles for 1st, he might give the likes of Ace Killer a chance to close up. But obviously the advantage he's got now, there's a big gap to everybody else after that huge incident coming on the exit of the chase then. So after that incident, the gap has really opened up to those front 3. So as long as those front 3 keep it clean, I imagine they should be the front 3 come the end of the race. But we've seen plenty of mistakes and accidents so far in this one. Yeah, so you think maybe lag caused Gecko to go. It looked like Gecko went straight off, maybe because he was battling for it, braked a bit late, went a bit deep. Which is not like Gecko to do. But when he come back on, and then all the cars had slowed right up, so obviously then there was other contact and it was a bit of a Constantina effect. Then all the cars ended up close together as we see Mullet now going for the move on Umbar as Umbar makes a mistake. So Mullet back up into 4th place now. Good recovery so far after an early mistake. So we'll see whether Umbar can do anything about chasing down the podium places. Definitely shown some good pace, Mullet, sorry, but also showed that he can make a few mistakes in this one. Hey, Paul. So Kevlaro now getting up onto the back of Philo, so he has closed that 5-second gap in the last 3 laps. So I think Kevlaro gonna have a pretty easy move on Philo, really. He is on the softer tyres and he has got a lot more pace than Philo. I think the sensible thing for Philo at this point in the race might be just to give up on the fight for 1st and hope for maybe a mistake and battle and secure that 2nd place, because he's got a nice gap down to 2nd. Yeah, so Kevlaro now in slipstream of Philo. Kevlaro probably going to be pitting on the next lap. Philo will probably go one extra, because Philo did struggle on the soft tyres at the end of the stints in the last race. But it does look like Kevlaro is going to have to wait behind Philo for now. But these guys are both pulling away from Ace Killer still, actually. And Mullet has gone again. No, Mullet's made a mistake again. Got himself all the way back up to 4th to chase after Ace Killer. And he's now back down in 8th behind Gecko and Darkrai. So, all going wrong again for Mullet there then. So it's going to be jobs on to get catch up to these front three. So maybe it is worth Philo fighting this now then. I don't know whether he'll be able to, but it might be worth it now then, as they've got a nice gap down to 3rd place, and even like nearly double the gap down to 4th. So these guys, without a big mistake, should be all on for podiums anyway. So it's probably worth Philo battling here. Yeah, the MR, the rears are going, but that's why Philo's put the mediums on, because Philo was struggling in the last race. You've also got to remember Kevlaro's had to use those soft tyres a bit more with coming through the traffic, whereas Philo got to the front in the first corner, so Philo hasn't had to use his tyres. So I'm expecting Kevlaro in. Yeah, Kevlaro does come into the pits now then, which is what we were expecting, and I'm presuming Ace Killer will be in as well. Kevlaro should be better on tyres in the second stint though, because obviously he won't be fighting and battling to get through traffic, so he should definitely be in a better position, as Umbar's going to come in as well. Swooton on the softs is going to stay out though, and obviously Darkrai definitely staying out on the hard tyres, so Darkrai going for the no-stop strategy here by the looks of it, as we see Gecko in, Umbar in, Mullet in, JP in, and Mart's already been in a lap earlier, so Mart's took the risk that didn't pay off for Mullet last time round, so we'll see if it pays off for him. As Philo makes a huge mistake but catches it, so that's probably going to be enough for Kevlaro to undercut Philo now then. That one mistake is probably going to be enough. How close is Darkrai to these two? Very close. He's going to pass Swooton, who hasn't pitted yet. But remember, Kevlaro is on 2 compounds softer of tyres, and he's 2.5 seconds ahead of Darkrai now, and he's on 2 compounds faster of tyres. But I wonder where Philo's going to come out in comparison to these guys now. I think Kevlaro's definitely going to do the undercut on him with that mistake through the cutting from Philo. Yeah, Ray Mullet's not having the best of time, showing pace, but just making mistakes that he doesn't need to make. So we'll see who else is close together of those that pitted. It looks like everybody's pretty spread out now. Mart and Gecko pretty close together, but Gecko obviously going to be doing everything he can to try and salvage some decent position out of this race after that huge accident. Oh, as we see Mullet go again, just as we flick to him to see the gap, he's gone again in the same place. So through the S's and down into the dipper is where these MR cars are just really struggling, and now he's Austin Powers in it and can't get it turned round. Oh, all gone wrong, as something's happened to JP as well. Maybe seen the yellow flags and had a sympathy crash of his own there, as we see Philo come in. So has Philo had an incident there? Philo's only just come in. But it looks like Kevlaro is going to be well ahead of Philo. Oh, as Kevlaro nearly makes a mistake. No, it must have just been the look of the thing. So Philo is out in second, but that's a huge undercut that Kevlaro's got on Philo. And Darkrai might be able to go for the move, but Philo is going to be on the soft tyres, whereas Darkrai is on the hards here. So we'll see whether Darkrai can pull this move off on the outside. No, he can't. Too much asking of the tyres, the harder compound, to go around the outside there. Oh, as Philo slides again. They said them MR cars, that cutting, and then the S's and the dipper really are a handful for those MR cars. So I think Philo now try and chase after Kevlaro, but I don't think, looking at the pace these two guys are had in this race and the first race, that without a mistake Philo will be able to close up to Kevlaro. So if Kevlaro can keep it clean, nurse the tyres a little bit to make sure he gets them to the end of the race, no problem, which he'll be able to do now that he's not trying to get through traffic. So Kevlaro should be on for the win here. Yeah, we've seen him, unfortunately, a few times he's struggled, and there anyway, at that point, unless you can really spin the tyres up to spin the car, it's a bit of a struggle to get going because it's so narrow. And obviously, with the way the tyre wear is in these, you don't really want to be, if you've crashed, you've already put strain on the tyres, so you don't really want to be spinning them up anymore to spin yourself back round. But we have got Darkrai now up into 3rd place, but we'll see whether Ace Killer can do anything about closing Darkrai down, as Darkrai is on the hard tyres compared to Ace Killer on the softs. But obviously we know Darkrai is a very fast driver. So Philo going to be looking to try and stick with Kevlaro, but it's not looking like it's happening. But the main thing, he is pulling away from Darkrai a little bit, so that's what he'll need. And obviously, hopefully hold on to that 2nd place. But other than that now, his field's pretty spread out. We've got Gecko just got by Umbar, so we've got Umbar battling away with Mark now then. So Mark could do with getting by Umbar quick, because he was managing to stick with Gecko. So if Gecko manages to pull away while Mart is stuck behind Umbar, then that could mean that Mart's chance of staying with Gecko might be gone. But Umbar at the moment is managing to stick with Gecko through here. So this is our only real battle going on track at the moment, is between these 3 guys for 5th place. So Mark looking for a good exit. Mark going wide on the entry to get that slingshot exit there, and it works. And Umbar got a poor exit and lost the slipstream to Gecko. So is this going to be Mark's chance to get the move done on Umbar now then, as he pulls to the left-hand side of the track? But he's now going to have to put in a good couple of corners, and he does swing all the way around the outside. Umbar maybe going to look for it back. There's contact from Umbar on the back of Mark, but he does back off. Unfortunate for Mark, because he needed a good exit there to try and get back in the slipstream of Gecko, but that's not going to happen. But at least they both survived that time round. So Mark now can look at getting his head down, but that might be enough for Gecko to pull away now. And can Gecko chase after Ace Killer? Can he get up into 4th? Can he? I can't see that he can chase Darkrai, and to be honest, I think that gap to Ace Killer is just going to be too much of an ask for Gecko now then, as we've got 8.5 minutes left to go in this one. And everybody else now is fairly spread out, as Kevlaro pulling away at the front, setting fastest lap after fastest lap. But obviously we did see Kevlaro make a big mistake late on in the first race, but he did recover his 3rd place back after that. But obviously, if he makes that mistake this time, he might not be able to recover that 1st place back. And then we saw Philo make a couple of mistakes late on as well. So maybe Darkrai can try and stay close enough to Philo to take advantage if Philo struggles on tyres again. Yeah, Kevlaro is really fast when he gets into the groove. You can tell he's right right up there with, you know, the likes of Gecko and stuff, arguably at times even quicker than Gecko. But we've had some good battles between him and Gecko in a couple of the races that we've seen. But the only negative now, we have got a bit of field spread now. No real on-track battles going on. It's all just about errors and mistakes and people keeping nice and close. As yeah, Gecko's not closing up at all to Ace Killer by the looks of it. See whether Swoodson maybe could try and close up to Umbar, but then Mullet's way off, had a bit of a nightmare again, and no, his JP spinning round. So JP in this second race is having a bit of a nightmare as well, damaging his livery there. This is not what you want to see. So JP now struggling, unfortunately. Like I said, we've got no real on-track battles, so let's go on the board in the passenger section of the car with Kevlaro now then, to see how he's handling this Porsche over the mountain section. Very cautious there through the dip, a big bit of opposite lock to hold that. As I said, you can see all these MR cars are struggling through the S's and the dipper. But we'll see whether that's enough for him to have lost that purple. He was on for the purple lap again. We'll see whether that slide was enough to lose it. It was. Lost him about 4 or 5 tenths there, that little slide that he had to correct, coming through the S's and through the dipper. Possibly one more chance with the tyres at getting a new faster lap. But other than that, it's probably game over for beating the 59.7 that he's already got. But we'll keep our eye on the map to see if we spot any cars getting any closer. And if we do, we'll obviously move back to have a look at what's going on. But it looks like at the moment we've still got everybody spread out with no real battle. Looks like there's 2 cars fairly close, but still with a bit of a gap between them. So we'll keep our eye on that as to whether we get a little bit of battle going on. It might be Umbar and Swoodson at a guess, or possibly Umbar and Mart still. Apex using all the track here, getting very close to the walls. Yeah, it looks, oh, big slide again though through the SEC. And what about the dipper now? It's much smoother through the dipper, but the slide through the S's that time. So again, just showing these MR cars are a handful, so we could still see mistakes late on in this race. We've got 4 minutes left to go, so there'll be 2 more laps for everybody to do. So sliding like that's also not going to help the tyres. So that maybe Kevlaro is going to have to back off a little bit just to make sure he doesn't make any mistakes, which to be honest he might already be doing. Philo has managed to pull away from Darkrai on the harder tyres now though. But again, we saw Philo struggling late on, so maybe he's doing the same. He did get an extra lap this time before pitting, so tyre issues won't be as bad this time round as they were in the last race. So Gecko now has closed up to Ace Killer, but obviously not by enough to actually make any significant inroads into that lead that Ace Killer has. So Gecko probably going to have to settle for 5th place now. Mark pulled away from Umbar and Swanson, so yeah, these guys still spread out, still not getting close enough together. So as I said, we've got a very spread field now then. Oh, is Kevlaro all over the curb? So we'll see how Philo's getting on, so we'll be able to see from the other side of the car now, as this car's right-hand drive. Oh, Philo struggling through the cutting there. So Philo may be starting to feel the tyres now like he did last time round. So is that going to be enough for Darkrai to start closing up on Philo? If Philo starts to lose pace like he did for the final 3 laps of his second stint in the first race. Again, this is where we see the MR car struggling, and another big slide, which is not going to be helping the wear on those tyres, sliding through the S's and the dipper like that. Oh, as he hits the wall on the outside there, coming into Forest Elbow, but gets away with it, but looks like he's taking a lot of wear out of these tyres in this lap. So Philo going to have to be very careful come the final lap of this race. So we'll go on board with Darkrai now then and see how he's doing. As obviously he has closed up now, but obviously those hard tyres not got a huge amount left in them either. So while we've got a bit of a lull, if you have enjoyed the racing, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, because obviously it really helps out the channel. So Philo just pulling away again, as we would expect. And again, it looks like everybody's still spread out, but we see someone spinning. Is that JP again having a bit of a nightmare towards the end of this race? No, it's not. Is it Mullet? It's Mullet again. It's all going wrong for Mullet as JP gets through now, so that's Mullet down to the back here. So one to forget for Mullet here. Oh, and is he going to go again with that damage? No. It's just all going wrong. And now he's Austin Powers in it again. Mullet's probably just going to want this race to be over now. All going wrong. As we see Kevlara now with a 12.5 second lead. Just got to keep it careful this one last time down the mountain, as this is the final lap. So coming out of Forest Elbow. Nice good exit. Should be nice and fine now. Can take it easy through the chase. What about Philo now then? Needs to do the same as Kevlara. Just get down through Forest Elbow nice and easy. And then he can take it easy through the chase, which he has done. So should be an easy second. Same for Darkrai. Should have an easy third now. Oh, but Ace Killer's had issues maybe, as Gecko's really closed up out of nowhere after looking like he was struggling. So we might have a battle on for fourth place. We've seen the speed of that Ford GT down the straight with the slipstream. Ace Killer doing everything he can to break that slipstream. Which side of the track is he going to choose to defend now then? He's still weaving. I think he can't weave anymore because Gecko's too close. He's going to take the inside for the chase. Gecko's going to go for it round the outside now. Yeah, and he doesn't quite make it. So you see Kevlara take the win. Philo second. Darkrai bringing it home in third. Ace Killer looks like he's just going to hold that fourth, as Gecko couldn't quite hold it round the outside, but really goes for it into that final corner. Last attempt, but nothing doing for Gecko there. He's going to have to take 5th place. Mark now then going to bring it home for 6th. Yes, he is. And Umbar for 7th, but a big slide round that final corner. And Swootson going to bring it home in 8th, with JP in 9th, and one to forget for Mullet down in 10th place there. So some fantastic racing in this one, but huge accident that we saw. Yeah, Mullet, unfortunately, one to forget. I would not be wanting to watch that back if I was you, but sometimes you have nights like that, unfortunately. Hopefully it'll go better next week. I don't know if it might just be MR cars over that section. You maybe not being as wary enough about expecting the car to go. That might be the biggest issue on this track specifically. because the MR cars over the mountain are a bit of a handful, especially once the tyre wear starts to kick in. But at least you got to the end of both races. Would have been very easy to just quit out of them. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. So we're going to leave it there on this one. So hopefully you can tune in for the next one. So see you again.